What happens when two dudes, one a retired Navy SEAL commander in Colorado Springs, and the other a hippie meditation teacher in New York City, get together to discuss living mindfully? That's a great question, because we don't know what will happen either. Raw, uncut, and unapologetic. Welcome to Men Talking Mindfulness with co-hosts John McCaskill and Will Schneider. Each week, we take an authentic dive into how mindfulness continually impacts our lives, deepens our relationships, and allows us to be emotionally alive. We filter all of our conversations through the man box, where we unpack how as men we are expected to act in society, how fighting the authentic human experience is exhausting and damaging, and how mindfulness can help. If you would like to listen live, join Will and John every Friday at 12:30 Eastern Time on IG Live at handle @WillNotFear. We take each IG episode and upload them straight to this podcast. So happy you're tuning in to Men Talking Mindfulness. Now, on to the show. Hey, welcome back to Men Talking Mindfulness. Today we have a really great topic, and we can use your help on this topic. We are going to talk about meditation's common misconceptions. So meditation is a big time in the conversation. So today we're going to talk about what are some of those misconceptions, so we can encourage you and maybe break down some of what the things that meditation can do for you. I'm just bringing in John. It's live. I'm excited to be here with all of you today, coming from my parents' backyard in Pennsylvania, which is pretty cool. And here is Mr. John McCaskill. Good to see you, brother. How are you?
Hey, man. Beautiful setting there.
Yeah, I know, right? This is like perfect fall weather. Like That's you're going to
awesome.
Probably see leaves like falling down on my head during this broadcast. So
beautiful.
And I think the connection is pretty solid today. And I know I really kind of set up the whole scene, but
I love it.
Why not?
I'm coming to you again, obviously from my car.
I love it.
I'm in between meetings, but again, bumming Wi-Fi from the Starbucks here. But also, I did actually go in and purchase some coffee. They've got a sign outside saying they support veterans. So hey, why can I not support them? So,
I know, right?
Yeah.
That's great, John. I'm glad we're here today. I just, before you jumped on, I was asking we're talking about meditation's common misconceptions,
right?
And there's a lot of them out there. So if anybody's out there's listening now, or has a comment later, please, this is a big topic, and we'd like to help you and encourage you to meditate, because it really has such an incredible difference in your mind, your body, your relationships. So good to be here today, John, for sure.
Yeah, man. Well, there are so many misconceptions, so I'm looking forward to helping to dispel those, and then share how we've moved past those ourselves. Because I mean, I myself had my own preconceived notions about not only meditation and mindfulness, but also the people who I believed practiced meditation and mindfulness. And that's one of my missions with the nonprofit that I work with, Veterans Path, is helping to break that preconceived notion or that stigma that surrounds these practices, and really bring it to more people, because it will in fact help them in the long run and in the short run. I mean, after every meditation, I feel the immediate effects. But to really get the long lasting effects, you have to practice regularly. So, but I'm very much looking forward to this. I am jealous right now of your sitting outside. I think, are you in a short sleeve shirt there?
No, I got long sleeves. I was like, I'm all professional today, but
you're looking good, man. Well,
thanks.
It's 29 degrees outside here. Last week, I think it was 29 degrees as well, but it was dry, and so I was able to sit outside. This week it is cold, man. At my house it was 14 degrees when I woke up, and frozen over. No snow, just ice everywhere. So anyway, I'm jealous of that beautiful setting. But then also going back to kind of announcements that we've had, our show is now an official podcast, and we released two episodes last week, and then I've released another 3 this week. So we've got a total of 5 of these released on various platforms. I think they're on almost every podcast platform that's out there now.
Yeah.
And we should have the rest of these released within the next week or so. So by the time we speak next week, I will also be on location next week. I'll be coming to you from Virginia next week. But when we speak next week, hopefully all the episodes that we've recorded thus far will be available in podcast platform.
Yeah.
So it's exciting
Great.
stuff.
Well,
Yeah, man.
yeah. Hey, one thing I went back, and this is a mindfulness moment, like for me, live, like vulnerability also being expressed here too. So here with my parents, it's my mom's birthday yesterday. She turned 75. That's why I'm here. So
Nice.
as we're driving to dinner yesterday, I was like, I'm really proud of the work that we're doing, and I really love the intro and the music and everything, all the work we've put into it. And I was like, hey, you guys got to listen a little bit on the way. So we got through the intro, and then like, oh, let's keep listening to the next episode. And I got to say, I'm really a little sensitive to like listening to the work I've already recorded. I usually just do the work and move on to the next thing. But it's very helpful to go back and listen. So I went back and I'm listening, and we're all listening in the car, and I'm just hearing how I'm saying things, what I'm saying. And I'm trying to be very mindful, John, and you can help me with this as well. Saying, I got, this is the early episodes. I'm getting a little bit better, but like, this is how things really begin to change. It's like, I don't like that I'm doing that. I feel a little even embarrassed talking about it right now in some ways. But it's just like bringing that and putting myself in the moment here with this and all the feelings that come up is probably going to have a greater likelihood as we march down this path with our podcast and us being more present in and more just, on alive in this broadcast, just trying to cut some of those like, out. So
Right. Well,
I just thought I would mention that. Yeah. Put it out here for because that's how things change, right? It's becoming aware and then making small steps in order to make those changes. So I thought I mentioned that today as kind of and I got a little nervous saying that, but that's the way it goes. It's mindfulness in action,
raw, authentic, and uncut, and
unapologetic. Yeah. Exactly. Well, let's. I meditated. You spoke about grounding in the beginning, so I meditated underneath, like I'll actually show you really quick. Underneath that gold tree right there with all the leaves. Man. I know, ridiculous in this backyard. Yeah. So I was grounding, just getting ready for today. But we'll start with a little grounding exercise, doing some breathing, and then we'll jump in and really dig into these misconceptions around meditation. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, find a comfortable seat, or maybe you want to lie down for this like 2 minutes that we're going to do. Just kind of like give your back a rest, lie down. Yeah, if you want to turn your head a little side to side, roll your neck, relax your jaw, close the eyes, if you can do that, and everyone can, or maybe try it with your eyes closed, or maybe with your eyes open and just your gaze very soft and not focusing on anything, but just kind of getting the pleroma and the panorama of colors around you. Again, we always start with breathing as a great way to just relax the mind and the body and get us into this moment. So let's exhale the breath out. Good. Empty that breath all the way out, and then fill with a big, giant breath in. Big, big, big balloon in your torso. Let's hold that breath just for a moment. Let's give a little sigh out the mouth. Nice. Good. Let's do it again. Big, giant breath in. Bigger if you can. Big, 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 big. Inhale, inhale, inhale. Good. Hold for another moment here. 3, 2. Exhale out. Great. And let's just do one more bigger breath. Inhale, 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 inhale. Nice, John. Good breath. Hold, hold, hold. Don't let that go away. There we go. Yeah. Exhale. Exhale. Beautiful. Good. And just find a smooth breath in and out of your nose. And knowing that this breath, even just these few breaths, you're probably feeling, hopefully out, if you're breathing with us, feeling a little more relaxed, more grounded, just more present. And the breath is always going to help us do that. But really take a moment and check in how you're feeling right now. Check in with your body. Check in with your emotional, how you're feeling. Check in with your mind. And know that whatever it is, it's okay. You don't have to fight against your experience. But the more we kind of embrace, become aware, and know where we are, that's how we can begin to change things. And with using our breath, or maybe it takes a little bit going for a walk if you're feeling a little too agitated. But always finding your breath is a great way to tap in, check in, and also relax yourself. Great, and just one more breath. Inhale, inhale, big breath. And exhale, let that go. Yeah, great. Open your eyes when you're ready. John, good to be here again. Love this topic. I think, you know what, I would like to ask you, John, I think a great way to start is, what is the first things or misconceptions that you kind of heard about meditation when you took your first step on this path?
Oh,
Anything.
man. Well, I mean, before I took the first step on the path is really kind of what developed my my perception of meditation and mindfulness. It really started when I was very young, and I don't know, I must have been like, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old. And my mom went to a yoga studio, and, you know, as was the time back then, there was a yoga studio, and then they had the kids off to the side. So I don't know, it must have been 7 or 8. And at the end of this thing, which, you know, I watched this yoga class happening, and, you know, I'm a kid, I'm like, what are they doing? Right.
Yeah.
And then at the end, the instructor's like, we're just going to sit and meditate for a while. And so I just watched them be quiet, and I listened to what he was saying. And this guy, he was very, very much like a stereotypical meditator, you know, kind of granola, long hair, hippie, kind of like you, brother.
But I got a collared shirt, John.
Look how
you
sharp
know,
you look.
I'm just...
but I mean, back then I was like, wow, this is really weird stuff that they're doing. I don't understand it. And it's being led by a hippie again. Not now I don't have any negative feelings towards hippies, towards monks, anything. But there's just that kind of preconceived notion, or that perception that it's touchy feely, it's flowery. It's, some people were like, hey, it's not real, it's snake oil, it doesn't work. And that, I think, is where I was. And that kind of leads me to this first step on my journey towards mindfulness meditation. I think we've touched on this before in the SEAL teams, where I had some challenges with mental health, and was seeing some talk counselors, seeing some psychiatrists, was on various medications.
This is from your survivor's guilt, yeah?
Survivor's guilt, a lot of it. And, you know, the medications helped to a point in numbing the pain, but it also numbed the joy. So like any of the joy that I was experiencing, I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm just going through this. And basically I was just going through life, not enjoying it, not feeling the sadness, not feeling the pain. As we talked about last week, or the past 6 weeks with our feelings series, I wasn't feeling much, and I was just kind of going through life. So I was missing out on the humanity of life. And eventually one of the counselors was like, hey, have you ever tried meditation? Have you ever tried mindfulness? And I kind of laughed at him. I was like, no, man, I've got real issues going on. Why don't you talk to me about something that's really going to help here? And yeah, I didn't say those words, but in my mind, that's what I was thinking. And he showed me some very high performing individuals who practiced it, and he showed me the science behind it, and that's kind of what made me, that's what sold me on it. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll give it a try. And I practiced it very simply, using some basic guided meditations that are available on the apps that are out there now. And, I like the immediate, hey, I feel better right now from those first couple of meditations. But then I would jump in my car and drive to work, or I would be in my office and something stressful would happen, and I would be immediately back in the red, or the something that would normally give me joy, I would not be feeling that joy. So I was still on the medication at the time. So eventually came off the medication, continued the meditation with a T. What I like to say is meditation with a T, not medication with a C. And I started to feel better. I started to experience the richness of life. And then I was like, okay, maybe there really is something here. And I continued to practice. So it took some convincing on this counselor's side for me to start. And he helped to break that stigma by showing me, look, here's some very high performing individuals, Oprah Winfrey, Steve Jobs, back when he was alive, that he practiced, all these very high performing individuals who practice. And I was like, oh, well, if they can do it, then, and they're not the hippies, they're not the monks, then I can do it. Well, because, and it wasn't that I had anything against hippies. It was just like, well, this isn't something for me. I'm not a hippie. At the time I was active duty Navy SEAL commander, and was like, I don't have the time for this crap if it's not going to work, which is another misconception that I want to get into. Is too busy. Is time. It's too busy. So it was a list of things. It was, hey, this is snake oil. It doesn't work. It's for people that aren't like me. And it's for people who have more time on their hands. But then when he showed me like Steve Jobs and Oprah are doing it, they don't have time, right? And if
you would think they didn't.
If they're still making time to do this, then I can make the time. So that's really what helped to change my mind on that. What about yourself, man?
It was kind of like, I was in this creative space, this is when I was an actor back in, I found this in 2007. I just felt that I needed to go deeper. I was, kind of coming the flip side. Here you are, you're in the military, and you're like, oh, hard, I would imagine, as a SEAL, and just like, like really exuding the certain aspects of masculinity. Here I am on the other side, trying to get into my feelings more and more and more as an actor. And meditation just I forget exactly where it hit my brain or when, but I started to look into it, like really started to go into the research actually at that time, looking at transcendental meditation, TM, which is still very popular and a very excellent meditation technique. And I started to take a little dive into it, and really looked at the research, looked at what it's doing scientifically. I have a degree in biology, so I understand like some, basic and major concepts in science. And I'm like, wow, this can really help me with my brain and my body and my awareness and get me in touch emotionally. And I just jumped in and paid considerable amount of money to learn TM when I started back in like 2007. So that was like, I was looking for something a little bit deeper, how to get deeper on the inside. And meditation is the answer that kind of came to me as I started to look. So I didn't need I guess I didn't need a lot of the convincing as much as, or I guess that's why I kept digging into the science of it. And then I just, and not even bit the bullet. I just like, I'm going to go out and do this. And it's become a giant part of my life since then. So yeah, that's how I started with meditation. And it's been,
Were you doing yoga at the time? Were you introduced to yoga and meditation at the same time?
Great question. I actually started meditating before I started doing yoga. Which I thought it would be, kind of a lot of people get into the other way. I was already a very physical guy. Like I was still going to the gym and working out and running, and yoga came. I got serious with yoga right after right around the same time that I started to meditate as well. So just like this whole, the seek of mind, body, health. and the body is going to be taken care of with yoga. The mental aspect is going to be taken care of with meditation. They work together also in helping one another. So that has been my path to get to where I am with meditation. That's well, I think what would be a good place to start with this is the whole "I'm too busy," because it came up in my notes, and and that's one thing, and it came up with you, and I think the first thing I want to say about being "I'm too busy" is yoga and meditation is going to help you make time. Is going to help, is it going to help? Because you're going to be more focused, you're going to be more relaxed, and you're going to be more efficient and more effective when you're in a relaxed and more focused state of mind. And also with what meditation does, and after you meditate, for longer periods of time, not just in the meditation itself, but over a duration of your lifetime, it gets you into deeper states of creativity, which is just going to, improve your work all around. So this is, and it's people just, I'm so busy. I can't find 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes to meditate. But I constantly tell people it's going to help you, just like on the areas that I thought of. But what are some of your thoughts on that, or what are things that, what was your journey to that, as far as like working through that, and then where are you now as far as like how you're feeling with, being too busy or that kind of stuff?
Well, a couple of things there. First off, it totally does help to make time, right? In that you do become more productive, you do become more focused, you do become more efficient. So, if you have 10 hours of work to do, let's say in a given day, not 10 hours on the clock, but if you summed up all the work that you had to do, you're like, that's going to take 10 hours to do. You're most likely, without meditating, it's probably going to take you more than 10 hours because you're going to get distracted. You're not going to be efficient. You're going to be thinking about other things. Whereas when you meditate, and I've used this analogy before, but it's like a snow globe, and you set that snow globe down, all the little snowflakes settle down to the bottom, except a few of the important ones. They still kind of float around. That's what your mind is doing, and that allows you to go through those tasks, that 10 hours of work, and actually get it done in 10 hours. So it can help you to make work in that regard. It does help you to be more creative, like you mentioned. So, you can come up with more creative solutions to some of the problems that may be facing you. Not just creative as in art, as in music, as in painting, but creative as in solving solutions. So that's very important as well. And then the other piece is, if you are telling yourself that you're too busy, that you can't give yourself 5 minutes, maybe you need to take stock in your life and be like, what can I cut back on?
Right.
What is it that is making me feel like I'm so busy that I can't afford 5 minutes?
Right.
And then if you're able to cut back on something and give yourself that 5 minutes, you're probably going to feel better anyway. And then I don't know who said this. I should, as a teacher and a practitioner, you may know Will, but it's said that today, if I'm too busy to meditate for 1 hour, then I should meditate for 2.
I think that was the Buddha, or not the Buddha. I think that was
Dalai Lama.
Yeah, the Dalai Lama. I believe he said
I was going to say that, but I wasn't sure. So it does. If you meditate for a little bit more time, if you give yourself that more time, you're going to be more efficient, more effective, more productive through the day. And then this is another piece that's tied to that about not having enough time, is you fill your life with so many things that you feel that you don't have enough time. You're also filling your brain with so many things that are going to distract you. So those are the same people that say, I don't have enough time, are the people that say, I can't meditate, which is another misconception about meditation and mindfulness is, hey, I can't meditate. Well, why can't you meditate? Because I'm too busy, not just on my schedule, but too busy up here. And if you're able to sit down and take 5 minutes of quiet time, it doesn't matter how busy you are here, because you can quieten the mind. You're not shutting it off. You're just helping those snowflakes settle, and just settle the mind. That's all you're trying to do. And I was one of those people that said, I'm too busy and my mind races too much. Well, everybody's mind races. That's a natural thing. You're going to be thinking about what it is you've got going on the rest of the day. You're going to be thinking about your family. You're going to be thinking about whatever stressors are coming in. But this can help to bring you to the here and now. And in being focused on the here and now, that's being mindful, right? Being focused on the here and now, all those snowflakes that are clouding your thoughts, clouding your mind, they settle. And the ones that are important rise to the top or stay floating in that liquid. So those two misconceptions are very much tied together. I don't have enough time and my mind races too much, so I can't meditate. But they're both false. They're both false.
Well, you bring up I love that analogy, the snow globe, and in that, if you think of the flakes, each one of those flakes is a distraction. We went through that whole digital detox series. Right? About becoming aware of your technology. How much time are you wasting picking up that phone and checking your status, or checking how many likes you got in a post, and how effective is that, and how efficient is that, and how productive is that, and how is that actually helping you, unless you work in social media or something, helping with anything that you're doing.
Right.
And it's like, and this is what meditation can help you do. What I'm seeing, and I struggle with this still, is like I set a time block up for doing a particular task of like I'll put a timer on 90 minutes, right? Growing a tree, right? On that, right?
That's right.
So it's like 90 minutes, we're gonna do this. And I'll feel the impulse and be like, oh, I just put up a post, I want to check how it's doing or something like that. I'll try to grab my phone, and it'll be like a little struggle of like, I guess it's like mindful will versus like wild animal snow globe will or something, right? And it just be like, and I'll be like, no, don't touch that phone. And I'll have the phone in my hand, like, don't check that Instagram. And I'll put the phone back down and get back to my task.
There you go.
And there I am. Here I am, that moment of opportunity. And I feel it, and I'm right there in it. And if I become weak, I guess you could say, or unfocused, and kind of go with my weaker and lower self, and hit the Instagram, look at my status, I lose my focus on what I was doing, and it's going to take me, and science shows it takes several minutes to get kind of back into that zone.
Right.
So this is just kind of emphasize that efficiency and the focusing point of what meditation can do. And you also brought up the whole thing. And this is one of the misconceptions I wrote down. It's like, I can't stop thinking, or my mind just keeps racing. Like, how can I meditate? And that's what this practice is about. It's all about awareness in, three major areas. Like, it's more, but like, well, maybe four. So meditation of my mind, meditation of my body, meditation of my relationships, there's so many, becoming aware of all these things. And how else are you going to ever get to know yourself? You don't take a moment and look at yourself, and just take a moment to look. And I think I've been meditating for a little too long and teaching it as well, that where I like kind of forget that people don't understand that they're not their mind, they're not their feelings,
their thoughts.
They're not their thoughts, and be able to detach yourself from that, and be able to take a look at maybe just a particular thought, or just the mind as this giant, like circus, or and zoo of just like wildness. Like, how else are you ever gonna how else are you gonna be able to focus if you don't begin to sit and just look at these aspects of our humanity, but not actually our true being that we are.
Right. So, yeah, absolutely, man. It takes time to get to know yourself. It takes time and effort. You have to be very intentional about it. Otherwise, you get lost in the world, and you get lost in trying to meet the world's expectations. And like I said before, you're just going through the motions. And that's a dangerous place to be. I mean, for those around you, because they don't know the true, authentic you. So there's a whole list of reasons not to do that. And I think we talked about the internal selfie last week, maybe before that, but one of the meditation teachers with Veterans Path, and the nonprofit that I work with, he talks about taking an internal selfie. I mean, you talk about social media, you talk about Instagram, Facebook, everything else. You get on there now, and there's so many selfies, right? I mean, I'm guilty. I've taken selfies of me and myself, me
Yeah. Is that what a selfie is?
Yeah. But I mean, me by myself or me with my child, those, I've taken all these selfies and I'm fully guilty. But you take a look after you push the button and you say, okay, yeah, I want to take this photo. You push that button and you take a look at that phone. And you're like, oh crap. Yeah. I've got a mole there, or I've got a piece of food in my mustache, or some things that you didn't realize. And you go back, you fix it, you retake the selfie, right? Well, the internal selfie is this kind of the same way, is that you take a look at how you are feeling on the inside. In your grounding exercise, you mentioned, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
So that you take stock in how are you feeling. And honestly, like, dude, I've been pretty stressed this week. And I'm so thankful that I have the tools of mindfulness and meditation to have gone through this week, because they helped me get through with a level head without losing my shit.
Congratulations, John. Meditation, mindfulness in action, like in your life.
Absolutely.
And
this morning,
it helped.
Go for it. It helped. Like, some things aren't going quite right in the nonprofit. Not they're not negative, but they're not going as smoothly as I would like to have seen them go. And I started getting stressed out. I'm like, wait a minute. I work for a nonprofit that teaches mindfulness and meditation, and I'm getting stressed out about things and how they're going with this nonprofit. Take a step back, John. Take this internal selfie. How are you feeling about things? I'm feeling stressed. Okay, feeling stressed is a natural response, but what can I do about it? I can focus on the here and now, and it brought me down back into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is so important. Sorry, I got sidetracked there. I know now we're talking about the internal awareness and internal selfie instead of the misconceptions about mindfulness and meditation. But I just had to bring that up. And you mentioned how you're being mindful about, you're saying, I was just being mindful, or trying to be mindful about, hey man, I work for a nonprofit that teaches this, and I'm getting stressed out by it. That's right. The irony there is pretty thick.
Well, I think, we'll get back to, we'll mention another misconception in a moment, but what you're bringing up is really powerful, because you are now, because of meditation, because of your consistent practice, you are becoming more emotionally aware. And here's a feeling coming up. And instead of being like the whole day going to shit because of stress and anxiety, and then more stress and anxiety, your mind and the whole, you just kind of pulling more stress and anxiety towards you, because that's your mental and emotional state. You're able to stop, take that internal selfie, and then have the tools of mindfulness of like, I need, where am I? How am I feeling? What can I do? And then come back. So it's just this constant. It's just a great way to check in. And to come back to what we said earlier, you're going to be more effective. You're going to, now you can refocus, and then you're going to be able to get the work done. And it's just this is what this practice is for.
And, because I am more settled, less stressed out, not only will I be better at work, but when I get home, I'm going to be that much better of a husband, better father with my kids, be more present with them. So, the stress that was eating me up is gone. And now I can be present with my 2 little kids and my beautiful bride, and enjoy that moment too. Instead of being stressed out, coming home with that stress on my shoulders, and then stewing over it while I'm at home. I left it at work, right? I left it behind me. I didn't even leave it at work. I left it behind me once I meditated. Moved on. Let's move on with something. So it's
and then stress begins to compound. Like if you walk in the house stressed, and your children are misbehaving or like being kids, right? Being kids, or your dog being a dog, like trying to run away. It's just like, you're like, oh, that fucking dog, like, oh my God, like, you know what I mean? You just like, and you have this explosion because you haven't, because you haven't taken care of or increased or have that awareness. Like stress is only gonna make me more stressed. So
and people, kids, we all feed off one another, right? So if I walk home, if I walk in the door stressed out, and
Exactly.
I start barking at my dog. I start barking at my kids. Then my wife feeds off of that. She starts barking at me.
Yeah.
Not that this is the McCaskill household, but I'm just
No.
saying what can happen.
Yeah.
You
Well, I
know,
like this said bark. You're barking at your own dog. That's why I'm laughing at. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
yeah. So I mean, we all feed off one another, and things just it spirals out of control before you know it.
Right.
So why not gain control when you can, rather than letting it spiral? Like you said, that stress builds on itself. Rather than letting it spiral in the opposite direction, bring it back down, spiral it down.
Well, I mean, give an example that people out there that work in the office that are listening. It's like, imagine if you get off a stressful phone call, right? And then you have to go to a meeting moments later and you take that stress with you and you have a presentation that you need to do. Like, who knows what can happen in that meeting, because and how that stress might build, that, you're not going to be your calm, cool, and connected self. And you can have some sort of explosion in that situation that can really devastate your career or devastate that deal in some way. So this is just, again, Liz, this is how meditation can help out. I mean, great example, John, of like how I need to just check in, relax, and then move beyond and become effective and focused.
Right.
So
yeah,
wonderful,
man.
Let's get on to another one. Well, because the busy thing we talked about also, I think it goes along the way of I can't meditate because I can't stop thinking. So kind of the same thing in a lot of ways. It's meditation is not about stopping thinking. I say this all the time. Like our body, we have a body, we know that, right? And part of this body, we have a brain. The brain thinks, our lungs breathe, our heart pumps blood. These things in our body are not going to change. Right? But what meditation helps us to do is become aware of our thinking. And that's a big deal. I mean, if we are able to step back and think of and see our mind and get to know these like cycles and circles and the repetitive cycles of thinking that keeps coming up and keeps coming up. And we are, the way we speak to ourselves, the thoughts that we have are how we're going to show up in the world.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to hack in and analyze, take that internal selfie, and then begin to change that conversation, that internal like monologue and dialogue that you have with yourself,
negative self-talk,
negative self-talk or positive self-talk. I mean, it's the real deal. And it's not about eliminating the thinking. You might slow down your thinking with meditating and relaxing, and as you continually become more consistent and an effective meditator, by showing up and continue and being consistent in your meditation, that's when we get to see the mind for what it is, which is just a tool like anything else. And we begin to sharpen this tool of our mind by exercising the muscle of our mind. It's just like any other muscle that we want to train in our body, or if we want to become effective at any instrument that we want to play, it takes time to practice. And we can use our mind for an effective tool instead of it just running our lives and kind of like and kind of wrecking our lives in a lot of ways because of the cycles of thinking. So that's one another big one, is like, it's not about eliminating thought, it's about becoming aware of your thinking. It's another big one.
Yeah. And even as you become aware, people are like, well, now I'm aware, now I want to control it. You don't need to control it. You just be with it and realize those are your thoughts. You don't have to necessarily change. You don't have to control them. They will change over time with time, with practice, but you don't have to it's not like you're going into the gym and having to lift a 400-pound deadlift. You're going into your mind, looking at these thoughts, quote unquote, looking, and just being with them. And over time, that deadlift's going to get easier to do. And then those thoughts are going to, that negative self-talk, it'll change. The amygdala that's hijacking you all the time for fight, flight, or freeze. You're gonna start using the prefrontal cortex, and I know we talk about this regularly. Now that's the part of your brain that's responsible for the cognitive thinking, the rational thought. That's going to start to take control, and that's when the negative self-talk is going to start to quiet down. So yeah, man.
You bring up a good point with, it's not about controlling our thoughts. It's really about self-control. Coming back to my
Yes.
example
Yeah.
of me wanting to, like, putting this 90-minute time block in place, and me wanting to grab my Instagram, phone, or to see what happened on Instagram. Like, no,
Yeah.
no, not that is self-control. That is,
Yep.
here's my mind. Here's an impulse. Here is just a behavior, right? A habit that I have that I'm trying to change. And there, in that moment, I'm changing it. And that is
Yep.
like self-mastery. That is self-control. And that is what meditation is going to help anybody that consistently practice begin to, and there's so much power in that self-mastery and self-control. And so much confidence that comes with it too.
For sure, man. And I like that you hit on the habit, right? Hit on a habit of checking Instagram, habit of this and that. But there's positive habits too. And a friend of mine that has a book called Leverage Your Mindset, Ricky Kalman. He's a mindfulness teacher and a hypnotist. And
wow, awesome.
Yeah, he and I were on a call the other day, and this is in his book. And I didn't realize it until after I spoke with him on the call, and I started reading his book. He's like, "What are 3 habits that you have? Think about 3 habits." And he asks me that 3 times. And then he's like, "Okay, now tell me what they are." And I told him this, this, and this, and they were all negative. He's like,
"Wow."
I never said, tell me 3 negative habits that you have. But as soon as somebody puts that word out there, it's automatically, hey, start thinking negative thoughts. Hey, what are my negative habits? But he talks about changing the perception of just that word. Hey, you can have positive habits. Hey, you get up and you meditate. That's a great habit. You get up and you eat healthy. That's a great habit. You get up, you go to the gym. That's a great habit. And those, when somebody asks you, what are your habits? You can say, well, I meditate, I hit the gym, and I eat healthy. And just by thinking that way, you're changing your mindset. But in order to do that, you have to be mindful. You have to be self-aware. So it comes full circle back. And man, I have this whole list of misconceptions. And we talked earlier this week via text and like, hey, this could be a 1-episode thing. It could be a 3-episode thing. I think it's going to definitely be more than a 1-episode thing. Cause,
for sure.
Yeah. I unfortunately have to start wrapping up here, man.
Okay. Got you. Yeah. I can't believe it's how quickly the time goes.
Know, right? It goes so fast. But yeah, I have to wrap up and be done in 5 minutes.
Great.
And here I am. I'm one of those people that's like, hey man, maybe I need to take a step back and cut some things out.
You're too busy, John.
This is a medical appointment with the VA that I can't change. So
no, it's all good. Well, hey, we'll continue next week. We'll do part 2 of the misconception part, and I think it's
right on.
I love the awareness that's already being generated. I think this has been very, very helpful. Already for people, because I know where I was years ago, and I know what I constantly hear with the people that I work with, and yourself included. So I think this is really valuable for a lot of people. So let's, take us away, or like, what are your closing thoughts, and then take us away.
Well, so closing thoughts are, I love this space. I look forward to this time every week. So
thanks,
again,
John,
thank you. And I'll close it up after the practice. But the practice that I want to close with today is something I did in the middle of the night the other night. Sometimes I'll wake up and I just have a little trouble getting back to sleep, and I played with my breath. And it made me think, when I was growing up in high school, I was a runner, and I don't know if you've ever heard the term fartlek, but as a runner, it's fartlek. I want to say it's Swedish, for speed play. So like one of the runners will run for like 2 minutes as fast as they can, and you have to keep up with that person, and then you kind of taper off. But you don't know how long that runner is going to run fast for. So it's speed play. So I kind of came up with this thing called breath play, where much like you've done with us on the show before, you've done box breathing. So you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds. That's your box, 4, 4, 4, 4. So my speed play that I did the other night was, well, I'm just going to breathe in for X number of seconds, hold it for Y number of seconds, breathe out, and I just played with it. But the reason I lay that foundation, I came up with a new kind of idea of box breathing. So you've got your 4, 4, and 4. Mm-hmm. If you do 4, 4, and 4, then the next one, if you can envision that 4, 4, and 4 being a 2-dimensional square, mm-hmm. and then on top of that, you lay a 5, 5, and 5. So it's a little bit wider on all the edges. On top of that, you lay a 6, 6, and 6, and then you come back 5, 5. It basically builds like a little diamond. Yeah. So,
Oh,
so
cool.
This is a diamond breathing drill. Bear with me. I'm going to run you through it. But I felt great after doing it. So,
I'm excited, John. Let's go.
So here we go. That was a long intro. So
don't worry about it.
We're gonna go ahead, close your eyes or soften your gaze, and just let all your air out. And then you're gonna breathe in for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Let it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. In through your nose for 5. 3, 4, 5. Hold for 5. And out for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold for 5. Now in for 6. Hold for 6. Out for 6. Hold for 6. In for 5. Hold for 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Out for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold for 5. Last one, in for 4. Hold for 4. Out for 4. And hold for 4. And that's it. Just breathe naturally, and when you're ready, come back, open your eyes, and invite some movement back in. Short, sweet, nothing super fancy there, but
I feel like in a trance. That's awesome.
I did it 4 or 5 times over, and I felt so relaxed and just passed out. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start implementing that weird little drill.
No, hey, that's really nice. I like the way it's stacked. Nice, John.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. So, I don't know if you're being mindful here, but I just realized I put on a different hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have 2 hats here in my car, but I just grabbed a different one. So anyway, great being with you again, Will. Same. Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
And this will be available next week, ideally, on podcast platform with the rest of our episodes that we've recorded thus far, and then we'll be doing 1 a week from there. So have a great weekend, brother.
Yeah. Hey, thank you, John. And we'll catch you and everybody next week. I'll see you very soon.
All right.
Thanks, brother.
Peace.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Thanks for joining Will and John on Men Talking Mindfulness. If you enjoyed the show, please like and share it with your friends and family, and please, we would appreciate a review too. Until next time, this has been Men Talking Mindfulness. Thanks for showing up.